In all my years in the church, I have heard many sermons on fornication, pornography, and even abortion. But one sin that rarely gets addressed is covetousness. It's so normalized that many don't even recognize it as a problem or a sin. I have seen people covet other people's spouse, gift, and even blessings, and it's often disguised as admiration or sometimes, especially in charismatic churches, as tapping into other people's blessings. I've realized that there are two things in particular that can keep us in prayer, yet prevent us from receiving God's grace. One is pride, and two is covetousness. Pride makes us feel entitled to what we ask of God or feel superior to others, even in prayer. Remember the Pharisee who prayed that, "I thank you, God, that I am not like other people"? Covetousness, on the other hand, drives us to pray and seek after what others have, not out of gratitude or God's will for us, but out of envy and pride. Instead of being thankful for what God is doing in our lives and the lives of others, we often think, "Why not me?" or "I deserve that." This way of thinking only robs us from true joy, peace, and contentment in God. I know that sometimes it's hard to keep our eyes off our neighbor's plate. So I'm not sure if this will help you feel better, but if you think others are having a better life because of the things God has given them, or if you think God's grace is unfair, wait until you see God's judgment. We all will be held accountable for what we do with what we have received by grace. That's the other side of grace that isn't often talked about, or it's often overlooked. Grace isn't just about what we receive from God, but also what we do with what we have received. Many of us desire blessings, but forget the accountability that comes with them. Maybe it's just because we don't know who God really is. He is just and He is fair. As the Apostle Paul says, we are to be faithful stewards of God's grace. There was a time that many people in the church wanted to be teachers. And the Apostle James warned them that, "Why do you all want to be teachers? Don't you know that teachers will be judged more strictly? God's grace is too valuable to be misused or abused." And those who think they're better and or superior to others because of what they have or who they are just by the grace of God, remember this. If you have been given much, much is required. Much is required in your actions, much is required in your words, much is required in your thinking, much is required in your impact. You will be accountable for what you have received by grace. I don't even know how to put this. I will be accountable as a spouse. I will be accountable as a father. I will be accountable as a leader. We will be accountable for the children we have been given, for the gift we have received, even for the opportunities we've had. So you see, whether we receive more or little, that's not what's important. It's about how faithful we are to what we have received by His grace. And if we are faithful with little, God promises the more will be added. And if we are faithful with more, there is a great reward for us in eternity.